heartbeat of the earth, the hands that give life its worth. With every step, they break new ground, harvesting hope from all around. Through every season, through highs and lows, the untold journey, the heroes grow. Harvest heroes, rising strong, building tomorrow all day long.
Hello guys, welcome to the third episode of Harvest Heroes. It's a wonderful interview we have with special guests, and today our special guest is Mr. Kid, and he will come up and tell us more about himself. And guys, it will be an opportunity for you to know the amazing work he's doing around the world in the health department. It is such a pleasure to have him here. Please help me welcome Mr. Kid on board. Mr. Kid, welcome to this Agrico Expo studio.
Thanks, Susie. Nice to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, Mr. Kid, we'll start with a little bit of question. Can you tell us what is your name and which domain are you working in?
Yeah, I'm Keith Robinson, and I'm self-employed in the area of health and wellness for the last 16 years, but I've actually been self-employed since the age of 19.
Amazing.
So in different areas, wholesale distribution, financial services, and for the last 16 years, health and wellness.
That is so amazing. It's such a pleasure to have you in the studio, Mr. Kate. And we will go straight into the question we have to ask you today. Our first question is, can you share a little bit about your background and how you all started in the field of health?
Yeah, the whole health thing actually just came by accident, as most good things. And when I was in financial services, you know the way when you're doing policies for people and there's a family history of issues, health issues, both sides of a family, they are counted as high risk. And because both of my parents died of cancer before the age of 60, that was telling me that I was high risk for cancer. But when it came across my desk that it was now possible to reverse heart disease, I said, I should look into that because more people are dying of cardiovascular issues than dying of cancer. So if I have an opportunity to avoid that, then it would make sense to avoid it. And being skeptical, I said, I better be sure this is correct. So I had my cardiovascular system analyzed. I was 46 at the time. My vascular age was that of a 40-year-old. 90 days later, I had it checked again, and my vascular age actually dropped down to 22. And then a couple of months after that, I had it checked again, and I had moved down to a teenager. So that was all the proof I needed to know what was possible.
Wow, that is just so amazing. We love that. And thank you for answering that question. And the second question we have for you is, what inspired you to pursue your career in health? Apart from, we heard about your parents, but was that your inspiration to start in this field?
Well, my inspiration was really having learned that it was possible to reverse heart disease, and so many people are in trouble in that area. I felt that it was ultra important for me to share that information with as many people as possible, because it would have been a sin not to.
Thank you for sharing. And it is saving a lot of lives. A lot of people are being saved by that program, actually. And our next question is, what keeps you motivated to go on a daily basis in this field?
It's the results. The stuff that we watch happen for people would make the hair stand up on the back of your neck, because it's not just about cardiovascular health. It's also about keeping your immune system in proper condition. It's also about correcting the pH of the body and about resetting the gut microbiome. So there's so many people in trouble with so many issues, but they all go back to really one thing, which is an imbalance in the body. And if you can get the body back into balance, it will work on itself. And there is a huge deficiency in the level of nutrition in the food people is eating. And therefore, the body is not capable of doing the repair it is designed to be able to do. And therefore, you go down the slippery slope of more and more medications to deal with more and more symptoms, but never addressing the original problem.
Wow. Thank you. That is very true. And our next question is, what is the biggest challenge you face early on in your journey into the health department?
I suppose the biggest issue was people believing that this was possible, the same as I had that certain skeptical side to me, wondering, is this possible? Is this true? But a lot of people believe that the only way to look after their health is to go to a doctor, and that is the only journey. But like what was here before the whole medical side and pharmaceutical side, there was nature, and nature did things very, very well. It was just that a certain industry took over and has that control there now. And a lot of people don't realize that there is something outside of all that.
Wow, wow, that is very important. You said something very important. There is something outside. And our next question is, how did you overcome this challenge of the people not knowing that they can do it themselves or they can make research in your health department?
I suppose as more and more people got these type of results, people working their way off blood pressure medication, working their way off cholesterol medication, get cold feet and cold hands warming up, and people correcting, they tell more and more people. So it's probably, you mightn't believe a stranger if they're telling you something, but if your best friend has had a major result, you will then probably start looking into it.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. That is definitely the way. From mouth to mouth is the best way to do publicity about something. And results speak louder than words. And
Correct.
yeah, definitely. Our next question for you this morning is, who has been most influential in shaping your future in this health department?
Well, obviously my parents back in time. But one of the other people that I came across who I had lucky enough to spend time with him a few times when he was in Ireland was a Dr. Joseph Prendergast, and he was an endocrinologist, and as you probably know, an endocrinologist is going to be dealing with an awful lot of diabetic patients. In fact, his patient ratio is about 85% were diabetic, and he had. He'd been working on a way to try and help diabetics because, as you may or may not know, 2/3 of diabetics die from cardiovascular disease.
Wow.
So he was looking at ways of helping his patients to manufacture more nitric oxide so that they could clean their arterial system. So cardiovascular problems were not going to be an issue for those diabetics.
Wow.
And over a 20-year period with 19,000 patients, he made up a particular arginine complexer, and he was trying lots of different ingredients over a long period of time. But over a 20-year period with 19,000 patients, he actually had no patient die from a heart attack or stroke in that period of time. And he was awarded an accolade from the American Diabetic Association called Father of the Year Award for saving more patients than any other physician in the USA.
Wow, that is so inspiring. That is really, really inspiring. And our next question is, what piece of advice did you wish you had early on this journey in the health department?
Well, I wish I knew what I knew now, because there could have been a different outcome for my parents. But I think there is a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of people are being directed to do certain things that maybe not be the best thing for them. You probably noticed 4 years ago there was a major issue in the world, and a lot of people were pushed towards taking part in a medical experimental injection, which happened to be not a vaccine, but they pushed it as a vaccine. That has been a huge issue for people who took part in that medical experiment, and they need to work very, very hard to overcome issues from that. I wish I didn't pay as much attention to media or to government, because they all have the same agenda, which is to keep power. And there's major issues with the system as we know it. Countries are set up as for-profit corporations. We think we vote in a government, and the government is supposed to look out for our best interests. But every government is actually registered as a for-profit corporation on Dun & Bradstreet, and then we are all being dealt with as corporate entities, which was made up out of our live register of birth and our birth certificate. So we're actually it's a corporation dealing with a corporation, because we think We think when we get a letter in capital letters that it's to us. It's not to us. It's to the corporate fiction that was set up out of our birth certificate. But we're never explained that. So I wish I knew that a lot sooner.
Thank you. Thank you. That is a very, very, very important thing you just said. There's certain information we need to know earlier in our journey that will really help path the way easier for us. And our next question we have for you is, what is your proudest moment so far, or your biggest accomplishment so far?
One of the cases I was involved in, and obviously there is a long list of them, but I was asked back in time, would I meet a couple? And I went to meet them, and when I met them, they had their 3-month-old baby with them in the pram on oxygen, and that baby had spent the first 3 months of her life in hospital on oxygen 24/7, and one of these feeding tubes down through the nose. And at the 3-month point, the parents were brought into the doctor's office and said, "Look, bring her home, see how long she might last, and enjoy the time left with her, because we can't do anything for her." Now, obviously, nobody knows, or we didn't know, or what the heart defect was, or the parents didn't know. They just said it was a heart defect. So they told me the whole story, and I said to them, "Look, I know from a medical perspective, they said nothing can be done, but that doesn't rule out something that might be done from a natural perspective." And I said to them, if we can help her increase her nitric oxide production, if we give her some fabulous nutrition to work with, she may actually work on her own problem, whatever it is. And they said, that is the best option we have at the minute. Otherwise, we're sorting out a funeral. And they said, guide us on what to do, which I did. The child kept improving. And then every time they were bringing the child back to hospital for checkups, they were scratching their head, wondering how she wasn't dead and how come she was improving. And 4 years ago, that child actually started school.
Wow, that is so amazing. That's just something to be really, really, really proud of. That is amazing. Our next question on this interview is, can you describe a pivotal moment in your life that really changed your way of doing things and that really changed your perspective in the health department?
Well, each one of those cases is just going to cement everything for me stronger, because the list of results that we've seen for people, the life-changing events, where, as I was telling you earlier about the lady where her stroke was reversed. We had a guy in Dublin who was told he needed a triple bypass, but he didn't particularly want to have his chest pulled open and have a bypass surgery. So he followed our protocol instead, and he went back 3 months later and told he no longer required a bypass. We've saved several legs from amputations. We have people becoming pain-free from arthritis pain. We had massive results with fertility issues. I remember one lady, she spent 13 years trying to get pregnant and had 3 operations to remove fibroids, and nothing worked. She went on our protocol, and within 3 months, her fibroids were gone and she was pregnant. So all of these just cement the journey, because you know you're on the right track.
That is amazing. That is so amazing. You're so inspired. I'm so inspired for your story, and I know a lot of people would be. Our next question is, how do you stay on head, like I say, on trend in the health department? Because by the way you speak, you say you use natural ways of treatment.
Yes.
So how do you stay on trend to make those natural ways keep working?
Well, we use extremely high quality raw food supplementation to actually give the body what is missing nutritionally. So there's a massive deficiency in the nutrition in the food we are eating, and I don't think it's by accident. Also, our air is contaminated from chemtrails. Our water is contaminated with chlorine and what's that other one that's in it? I'll think of it in a minute. But every angle that we turn, we are being poisoned. And also our processed food is being interfered with also. There's additives going in there that are not healthy for us. So all of these things are going to be working against us. So we have to work very, very strongly to counteract that with massive nutrition. So I use a 3-pronged approach. We use live raw berries, live raw greens, and the arginine complexer. That will be what we call the Vital 3 protocol. But I don't think that's ever going to go out of fashion. because the body is always going to work to perform and recover and replace itself, but the nutrition is missing. So this is the nutrition to help the body to repair itself. And nitric oxide is a key part of the body's cardiovascular health. So you know the slide that I showed you earlier, are you able to put that up so I can make a quick
Yes, I want to put it up. You have to put it out on your screen. Once I see it on the screen, I'll put it up.
Oh, okay, so I have to do something here. What do I see now?
Yes.
Oh no, that's the wrong one. 1 second. I didn't do the right one. Oh, I have to start sharing again, do I?
Yes.
I clicked the wrong button and then it's oh yes. I'm much more used to Zoom. But anyway, we will start sharing entire screen.
Yes.
Allow, and now I can stick up that one. I just clicked on the wrong one by mistake. Is that visible to you now?
It is perfectly visible.
Okay. This is the key piece of information for people to understand what's going on in their arteries. So in our 20s, we generally manufacture a decent amount of nitric oxide, and therefore our arterial system is generally clean, elastic, and free-flowing. When somebody gets as far as their 40s, they are down to 50% of whatever they made in their 20s. And nitric oxide is a signaling molecule in the cardiovascular system as per the 1998 Nobel Prize for Medicine. If we don't make enough, we start to build up plaque in the arteries. And if we're only making 50% of what we made in our 20s, this is where the plaque starts to build up. And somebody gets to their 60s, they're down to 15% of the nitric oxide production, and therefore this plaque issue keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And you often hear of people who are maybe up in their 50s and 60s, and they're on tons of medication for blood pressure, for blood thinning, for cholesterol. But if you have this type of plaque buildup, you have several problems. Number one, the blood supply going to everything the far side of that is down to a third of what it should be. And this is why the body starts asking the heart to rise in pressure. So this is typical blood pressure issues. The second issue is the plaque can rupture anytime, which is going to clot can form. And if that clot travels and sticks in the brain, it's a stroke, or if it sticks in the heart, it's a heart attack. And the third issue is when the plaque is around the arteries, they lose their flexibility. So when the heart pumps blood, the arteries try and flex, but they've lost their flexibility. So you get tiny cracks and tears through the arterial system. This is when the body instructs the liver to go in and increase production of cholesterol to go in and seal the cracks and tears. So raised cholesterol was not the original problem. It is the body's defense mechanism. The original problem was a lack of nitric oxide production.
Wow, that is so amazing. These are a lot of things we didn't know about our bodies, and that Dr. Kate is sharing with us that we should know, we should be aware of this effect on our health, on everything we do. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Our next question is, what are some of the common misconceptions people have about the work you do or about you in general?
Well, it's simply sort of having trouble understanding that the body can actually fix a problem, and it's not a pill or a potion, so everybody's thinking the idea, oh, I have a problem, I'll go to the doctor, he'll give me a prescription. But the prescription generally hides the symptoms of the problem. It doesn't address, like if you have high blood pressure and you go on medication, the medication doesn't solve why the body asks the heart to rise in pressure. It actually just instructs the heart to lower down in pressure. Wow. So now the organs that were looking for the blood supply are now starved back to what they were looking for before. So this is where medications actually hide symptoms. They don't address problems. And but the body can actually fix the problem if you give it the fuel.
Wow, that is just so amazing. It is just so amazing to know that we can use these ways, natural ways, to get better instead of using medication that is low-key killing us from inside. That is very important.
Side effects are often worse than the original problem.
Very, very true. And our next question is, what is next for you on this journey? What next step are you taking in this journey of health?
I plan to keep doing what I'm doing. And if I could find people that would love to learn this and then would go out and help other people, well, then you could create a tidal wave over time. If enough people put their shoulder to the wheel, you could actually make a massive change in the world.
This is the time. This is the time. As Dr. Kidd is inviting you to come together and make this massive move in health in the world. His description, all his details and description would be in the description below of the video. Please make sure you get in contact with him so that we can all work together in making this world a better place for everyone. And yes, Dr. Kidd, thank you so much for sharing with us.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. You are in the health department. Sorry.
Although I've sat down with medical professionals who keep asking me what side of medicine I'm in, but I've actually worked closely with doctors and their health and their family's health. I actually got a phone call from a surgeon one day asking me to help him get his brother off medications, which we achieved in 6 weeks.
That is so amazing.
I'm not a doctor and don't profess to be.
Okay. Kids shared a lot of things up in the health department that are very useful for us instead of relying on these medications that low-key kills us. As we said earlier, we can use natural resources, and he's putting out a call to action. If you want to take part in this wonderful moment around the world, I know we have listeners around the world, you can get his details. His detail will be in the description below. You get the details. Make sure you get in contact with him and connect, guys. Let's share and to be able to save the world and our families that are all suffering from heart attack and stroke and many other diseases. Thank you so much, Mr. Kidd, for coming here. It's a pleasure for us to have you. It was just such a wonderful interview. Guys. It is a wonderful interview and a wonderful time here. And Mr. Kidd is telling you, he's waving you goodbye, and thank you so much for joining us. And guys, please don't forget to connect, to like and share, and let's do wonders in the health department. Thank you. Have an amazing day, and this is the end of our episode. Thank you.
They are the heartbeat of the earth, the hands that give